Allan Aguirre with your Incorruptible 2-minute warning. We are talking about keeping it simple, stupid. So yesterday I used divorce as an example of how we have a very clear biblical instruction, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, one in the scriptures and one actually in the red letters when it came to Jesus. And then even to add insult to injury, when they even asked Jesus what his opinion on the matter was, he said, "What did Moses tell you?" Because Jesus defers to Moses because Moses is the guy that wrote it all down, had it written all down on how to do this thing. So I used divorce as an example yesterday of how we don't keep it simple. And instead, keeping it simple is when you actually obey the instruction in the Bible, versus not keeping it simple, and that's when you add your biases, add your prejudices, you add your denominational histories and all that. Okay, so anyway, I just want to make sure everybody remembers what we're talking about. So Israel did this. Two-thirds of the Old Testament is all about how Israel isn't keeping it simple and how they're literally changing the narrative as they go along. And they're not. They're just simply not obeying. For example, manna in the desert with Moses was a test. It was essentially a test. If you read what it says about it, it was a test, and they failed it the first week. They failed it to such an extreme that God said, "You know what? Because you can't do this, and because you just won't keep it simple." And what was the simplicity of it? You gather enough for one day and only one day, or it's going to rot, stink, and everyone will know. And on the Sabbath, on Friday, you do both, double days worth, and it won't rot. And it won't rot. And they couldn't do it. They would go out looking. They would take more than they were allotted for the day, and then they went out looking for it on the Sabbath, and they were told not to go out and look for it on the Sabbath. They weren't keeping it simple.
The views and opinions expressed during our broadcasts are solely those of the broadcast producers, hosts, and/or guests, etc., and are not necessarily the views or opinions of the Travelog Network, its sponsors, or affiliates.